Okay, so we are setting up this new project, and I want to talk a little bit about how I'm setting up. I already have a desktop folder, and I want to click on it and show you what's in there. So what I have in here is I have my Premiere Pro here. I've already put it in here. I have my interview here, Ms. W interview. I have the nameplate graphic that I'm going to use later. And then I put all my B-roll into a folder. And that's just to keep it a little bit more organized. If I click on this, you're going to see that I have all of my B-roll is in here. Okay, so that's how I organize it. You may want to think about it and look at this the way I've titled it, Wilkerson K _ interview plus B-roll. Okay, so it's pretty clear. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to show you what my file looks like. So I've already put together, I've already opened my Adobe Premiere Pro. Okay, so this is what it looks like. If yours doesn't look like this, make sure you're in the editing workspace. So I kind of over here in the upper right-hand corner, I click on that and I make sure I'm in editing, not in learning, not in anything else. I also, if I've done that, it still looks kind of funky. I go into Window, Workspaces, and then I go down here to Reset to Save Layout. And so any changes I've made previously, it just kind of goes back to my regular editing workspace. But notice here, I've got my source window, I have my program window, I have my project window, and here I have my timeline. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to import my interview. I'm not going to do anything else right now. So I could click on import media. I can actually double click even here and it will go straight to it. I'm desktop, Wilkerson here. I'm going to go into MP4. I'm going to do my interview. Okay. And this right now is an audio and it's also a video here. So it's there, although this is making me a little nervous because it says contain link. Anyway, I'm going to drag this into my timeline. And look what happened when I dragged it in. Another thing appeared in my project window, but these two things are different. Over here is my original MP4, and there is a video and an audio. So there's two little icons in the lower right-hand corner. If I go over to this one, if I go over here, the icon is a sequence. So this is a sequence that's in the timeline. Also, if I hover over here, the second line says sequence. So what I'd like to do here is change this name. So I'm just going to change this to my usual Wilkerson K _ interview plus B-roll. And that just helps me kind of keep track of it. Now, you know what? When I changed the sequence here, it changed it up here too. Did you see that? So it changed that. So here's my interview, and I have a task to do. I have to make this under a minute. Can't be any longer than a minute, okay? So what I've decided to do is, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have a room for this at the beginning, what I'm going to do is just very quickly chop it up right now and get rid of the stuff that I don't like. And then later on, I'm going to do the fine tuning so it sounds natural, okay? So what I've decided is at the very beginning, so let me kind of do this. And I'm going to go here. And one thing I'm going to do is I am going to make this a little bit bigger. So look at here, I have this slider at the bottom of my timeline. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm also going to make it a little bit bigger this way too. So that's nice because then I can see these dips where there's a question. And so those are kind of easy places for me to cut it. So I'm going to play it. I've already made my marks here. Here's my cheat sheet. I've looked at it and I have kind of marked what I want and what I don't want. This is kind of a rough cut at this point. So I'm going to play it. And then I want to put, this is a little weird, I'm going to put the part where I say, hi, I'm Kelly Wilkerson. I've been teaching for 22 years. I'm going to put that at the very end. So I think this right here at the top of the timeline is called the playhead. My guess is if I put this playhead, this might be where I'm talking. Let me see. Oh, that's not it. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. Okay, so it's right around here somewhere. So I'm going to make this even bigger so I can kind of see. I think you can see that I start talking here. So here I am. Let me see. Okay, so that's it. So you know what? Let me give you a little hint. I am putting the playhead at the very beginning of the pause so that there is a little space. I don't want to move it right to just before I talk about it because then it can sometimes clip things and it'll sound unnatural. So I'm going to move it to just to kind of the end of this pause. Okay. And then this is where I want to cut it. So I'm going to do Control K and I cut it right there. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of this first part. I know that I don't want that. Okay. And so I'm going to just double check that I did it correctly. My name is Kim. Okay. Now, if I want to get rid of this space, I can right click, ripple delete, and I'll move everything over. Okay. So that I have that. So I'm going to eventually put that very first part at the very end. So I want to stop it when I say, and I've been teaching for 23 years. So I'm going to do that. My name is Kim, and I've been teaching at Table Sign for 22 years. Okay, so this is easy. There's a big pause here. So right now I'm going to give myself lots of options and have a big pause here. So I've moved the playhead here. I'm going to do Control K to cut. I could also take the razor and bring it over, but right now I'm going to do that. So that's one cut. Okay, so I've got that. Now I want to go a little further, and I'm going to do the part where I talk about that I have 4 children, and anyway, I'm going to do that part. I'm not going to do that one. I think I'm going to do this one. Okay, so I'm going to go right here and I'm going to do Control K to cut. And then I'm going to cut this part in the middle. I'm not going to use that part. Okay, so I'm going to ripple delete to get rid of that. So I've got this part. So I'm saying, and so you know what? I don't really like that I said, well. So I think I'm going to just do, I have 4 children. Let me just see. Okay, so this is a little tricky one. It's going to be right here. So I'm going to make this bigger, 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 bigger. And I'm going to start it right there. Do you see right where that thing starts? Okay, so I'm going to put it here. And you know what? I'm a little nervous about that. So instead of cutting it, I'm going to move my cursor until it turns into a window shade. Look what I'm turning into a window shade, and I'm going to shorten it that way. That way I can always go back and say, I cut off a little bit. So now I'm going to listen to it. Okay, that's pretty good. And then I'm going to ripple delete it. So that gap is done. And then I have okay, so I've got that. So now I'm going to do Control K to cut. I want to show you the other way I can do it. I can take the razor blade, move the razor blade over, and then I can cut on that line. Okay, so that made a cut. So now I'm going to go back and get my selection tool. Okay. And I've decided I don't want this section. It's fine, but I just don't have room. It's my choice as an editor to pick what I want to do. Okay. So now I'm going to use this part. So I'm going to cut it there. I'm going to double check that this is right. So I might need to get rid of that but that's where I do it. I'm going to do Control K. And I think I want to cut this whole thing out, but if I want to look at this so that I can see everything, I can make everything quite a bit smaller. And I can say, oh yeah, that's true. I do want to do that. So I have Control K, and I'm going to take this section. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to right click, ripple, delete it. And here's this part. Students use the same equipment they would use in the workplace. So for example, in video, they're using news cameras this semester. Okay. Now I wouldn't say that's the best I've ever done, but I'm going to, for now, close that up. And right now, where am I? I'm about here. Actually, let me make it a little longer and see. No, I don't really like that. So I'm going to shorten that later and kind of do it. Now, remember, one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to take this very first one and put it at the end. Okay. Now I could do right click and do the ripple delete, but then the other way I can do to highlight everything is to draw a box around it and move it over. Okay. So this is what I've got so far. Is it under a minute? Yes, it is. Awesome. It's definitely under a minute. I come and look up here, it's at 50 seconds. Up here in the program window, it shows our timing, so that's good. And I'm going to go to the very beginning, and now I'm going to fine tune and make sure that it sounds and looks natural, okay? So let me see how this goes. Okay. So I don't really like that so I'm going to see if I can get rid of it. Sometimes it's challenging to get rid of it. So I'm going to kind of come all the way over here and let me see if I can find where the is. Let me see if I go here. Okay, I'm going to go even closer and see if I can see where that is. Let's see if I start right here, if it's working. I think that it's right after that very first step. So I'm going to get even closer. And I think I'm going to see if I can start right here. Sometimes that doesn't work. So let me just see if I can get closer in. Okay. And let me see if I can turn off right now. What it's doing is it's snapping to the line, and I'm going to see if I can turn that off. So I'm going to do that for a second. So sometimes Premiere Pro will not let you make really fine changes. And the reason is that it's snapping to the line. And I'm going to right now get real close to where I need to be. Okay. So you can see that when I'm working on the playhead, I'm having trouble getting it in between. It's just kind of snapping between these two places. So I'm going to go over here in the tool in the timeline. Do you see these tools at the beginning? Do you see this magnet? This is to snap. So I'm going to click on that magnet so that snapping is turned off. And now I can get really super close. Well, actually, maybe I don't need to get that close. Hold on a second. A little lost in my thing, so hold on. Okay. So Where am I? Okay. So here's where I am. And I'm going to get closer to it. Hold on a second. My screen share is kind of in the way, so it's making it hard for me to see it. And I am going to get real close. Hold on. Okay. This is, this just, you have to do this sometimes. You have to get like right in there. Okay, I'm still struggling to do that. So it's still not moving, even though I've turned off my snapping. I'm not getting right to it. So there's some other tricks, but I don't really want to show it to you right now. So what I think I'm going to do is just go to the M, to the thing where they're saying, okay. So I'm just going to go there. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to ripple delete. And so that's what I'm doing there. Students so for example, video, using news cameras this semester. Next semester, they'll be using DSLRs. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second because I want to see where I'm at. Okay. For film, we use software that is the industry standard. So, for example, in film class, we use Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects. So I'm going to see if I just end it here, what that's like. So I'm going to use my window shade and go to that. Now that I have my snap turned off, it's not snapping to it. So I'm going to do the ripple delete, and I'm going to see how this transition sounds. Okay. So that right now is my full interview. So I have cut it this way. You can cut it a different way. Now I'm ready to put the B-roll on top.